Okay, next I'm going to bring up Allison.
Yeah.
Just easing up here. It's kind of like having vertigo. Anyway, this is going to be a short story eventually, and I'm calling it For Art's Sake for now. She hooked her leg over a needlepoint knee. She arched her heel. She leaned forward so that the fan of her fingers cusped, or seemed to cusp, the aura of her lips. In the background, she could hear the swish of the camera, the clap of his nice leather shoes, the cars streaming by. Her gaze was on the camera's eyes, deadlocked. At any moment, she expected a bullet of gold to shoot from its glassy depths, but of course that was ridiculous. Still, she couldn't shake off the dangerous feeling of these particular circumstances, of this particular white-walled studio apartment. It was a brazen, foolish thing to pretend to look death in the eye, and to do it so willingly. For into that little hole poured all future remembrances, all birthdays, all snowless winters and simmering summers, all those movies of Molly Ringwald or some other 80s teen icon looping her fingers around the phone cords back when they had phone cords, which must have been junior high, of foot rubs, leg rubs, even little squeeze candies and cupcakes at Sugar Sweet Sunshine after school all day. She arched her head up. Swish, swish, swish. Her yawning chest poured into a funnel of dark cloth beneath which lay her unrevealed breast wanting to be revealed. Everything has a double meaning, he'd explained. That which is bare is only bare because the rest is covered, thus building a contrast between light and dark, desire and the desired. That which is covered becomes positive, negative space, simultaneously reinforcing and denying desire. When she just stared, he smiled and said, "It's okay." She gripped her knees and curled back to meet the camera's eye, and the eye that reveals eye and its unrevealed nudity. She loosened her lips. Obvious danger aside, she found the whole scenario funny. If it was perverted, it was also ridiculous. 20 years from now, she would probably laugh about it, or just not talk about it. Maybe she would laugh by herself. What was funny was that she had done it just to prove to herself that she could. She was not the kind of person to swagger with sex. It didn't just drip from her hips the way it does with some people. Still, she wanted to, and somehow that was enough. She was thin, but not exactly what she would call pretty. The thinness was a recent development, the result of a firm decision to only buy coffee at Sugar Sweet Sunshine. Her hair was long, but usually untidy, unlayered, and ultimately unfashionable. Still, it glowed with the natural ebullience she liked to think. All this, plus her first pair of leather boots and skinny jeans, and she still could not approach the guys at school. Instead, she and her friend had bumped into a man coming out of a networking party for artists. It had been her friend who broke through the strangeness to offer her a hand and an introduction. Again, the casual cross of the legs. She tossed her hair back, tried to look bored. She was a little bored sitting there, being watched. Did he admire her? He must have. He was devoted to converting her very flesh into a work of art. He looked at her all the time. It was nice. No one had ever wanted to look at her. His hand habitually absorbed hers like a warm blanket in the dead of January. He said to her into her hair, "You found me at exactly the right time in my life." In mine too, she said. She fought the desire to move. Bullshit. Looking into the camera, she had to wonder, what was missing? After breakfast, they walked together by strawberry fields, holding hands. Passerby eyed their hands and did not let go of him. Still, he did not seem to notice or care. He just kept rubbing his thumb along the base of her hand. They sat at a bench and received a few lonesome snowflakes into their eyes. Still lost in the remembrance of the night before, she had her head on his shoulder. He'd kissed her face a few times. Then when it was time to go, his mouth with its wet warmth lingered over hers and moved only with the utmost care and precision. Moments later, she was looking out the window of the bus, watching the tail ends of his black coat descend into the subway. He had vanished, and all that she could do was vainly snatch the tail ends of memories, of the feeling of his arms pulling her out of the cold light of day and into some dark other reality. Those moments in the dark were divorced from the men and women boarding the bus, yet somehow she had more faith in the reality of these moments than in the present. Swish, swish, swish. Thanks.